What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. This time we'll be taking a look at Carrie, directed by Brian De Palma, starring Sissy Spacek and Piper Laurie. Carrie is based off the Stephen King novel of the same name, and Carrie is actually Stephen King's first book, and this was the first movie. Only fitting that his first book be his first movie too. So that's a little bit of a history lesson for you. And to me, it just explains why I feel that Carrie's action a very important movie in the grand scheme of things. But let's talk about this thing for what it is. Now, I personally think that Carrie is a really, really good movie, though I don't consider it to be a horror, a full blown, balls to the wall horror movie per se. I look at Carrie more as a horror drama. This movie is about teenage angst, it's about bullying, it's about one person being repressed, and what happens and when that repression and when her profession reaches its breaking point, she just lets loose all the age and all the aggravation that has been boiled up and building up within inside of her. To me, that's the central theme that I take away from Carrie. And Sissy Spacek's performance as Carrie is she's excellent. I think Sissy Spacek is great in this movie. She brings a grounded performance. She's very, very relatable. You feel for her, particularly in the opening scene of the movie where Carrie has her period for the first time, and just the disgusting bullying that these girls do to Carrie is just it's heart wrenching when you're watching it because she doesn't know what's going on with her, and then you have all these cunts throwing tampons at her like a bunch of bitches. Of course, one of the girls named Sue Snell, she actually owns up to her actions, and she actually tries to do something good for Carrie by setting her up to go with Tommy Ross to the prom. Now, me personally, I would have more or less had Sue Snell kind of befriend Carrie first before doing that. That's just me. That's what I would have done. But Sue Snell becomes a very sympathetic character because she finds early on that her actions were no good, and she tries to rectify what she did. So she's not a completely hateable character because she does try to rectify herself by doing something legitimately nice for somebody who did not deserve that intense kind of bullying. And like I said, the performance of Sissy Spacek as Carrie is she is the anchor of this movie. If Sissy was not in this movie, Carrie would not be as regarded as it is now. That's just me. You have Piper Laurie, who plays her sadistic, psychopathic, religious nut for her mother, and there are moments where Piper Laurie is very, very subtle, and then there are moments where she is full blown hamming it up, and her performance it can get a little distracting in a lot of areas, particularly when she ratchets up the ham factor. Particularly when she's like putting Carrie in a prayer closet, and then you have the last half of the movie where she's just full blown ham sandwich. So to me, Piper Laurie's performance to me is kind of lopsided. It's not a bad performance per se, but when you compare it to all the other actors who are mostly grounded, and she's the one that's really just like being very theatrical and being very, very hammy with it, it's kind of to me it feels very, very out of place. Like she's not doing it from a neutral ground. She's doing it from a very grandiose stage. I'm not really like I don't hate it per se, but to me it doesn't really fit the tone of this movie, which is it tries to be a grounded tone. For me, that is to me that is. Uh, this movie also has a really good supporting cast. You have William Catt as Tommy Ross, and I like him as Tommy Ross. Tommy Ross comes across as a very, very likable guy, and that has a lot to do with William Catt's performance because William Catt, again, makes Tommy a very likable person who you want to cheer for, and when he asks Carrie out, you genuinely feel that he's doing it with good intentions, and he's not there to hurt Carrie. He's there to show Carrie a good time, which is why you feel bad for Tommy Ross at the end of the movie when the prawn massacre happens. So Bill Cass' performance in this movie, I enjoyed it a lot. The actress who plays Sue Snell, I liked her too, though her acting can come across as really, really flat. You have PJ Souls in this movie. PJ Souls, of course, from Halloween. She's in this movie as well. She's fine. Nancy Allen's in this movie. She plays the head bully known as Chris, and she's okay too. But again, her acting can be a little substandard at best in a lot of areas. Of course, you have Betty Buckley, who plays Miss Collins, who is Carrie's teacher. And the one thing I think this movie did well was seeing the contrast between Miss Collins and Margaret, Carrie's real mother. Miss Collins pretty much portrays the mother that Carrie wished she had, but she doesn't have, and Margaret is the complete 180. She's the mother that Carrie does have, and the one that she does not want. And I like how the movie kind of mirrors those two mother figures. You know, you have that domineering psychopathic mother, and then you have that kind, understanding mother with Miss Collins. So I think the movie did a good job at like paralleling those things in a very understated way, in my opinion. So I like that stuff a lot. uh, you also have this movie gives us John Travolta in one of his first early roles, and it's John Travolta. And John Travolta, of course, his biggest claim to fame in this movie is that he's the one that killed the pig with the sledgehammer, which brings us to the really the now throughout this movie we see scenes of Carrie using her telekinesis, and you have this shrieking sound of music that plays, and that's just to give you like a little jump here and there. But the prom scene is the what this movie is most memorable for, and what this movie is most famous for. So, Carrie, throughout this movie, she's presented as being very ugly. Then she goes to the prom and she looks like a knockout. She's all cleaned up, hair looks great, got the makeup on. She's stunning, beautiful woman, beautiful girl. Gets elected. Her and Tommy get elected prom king and queen. They go on stage. Everyone's all happy. The pig's blood falls on Carrie. Bucket falls on Tommy. He gets knocked out conscious. In Carrie's mind, everyone's laughing at her because the final words her mother said before she left for Tommy was, "They're all gonna laugh at you." And in Carrie's mind, now since Carrie's psyche is already fragile to begin with because of her domineering religious mother and the consistent bullying, you know, her rage finally is unleashed, and she just kills every single person in that gymnasium during prom. And the prom scene massacre is where the real horror of this movie, to me, really kicks in. It's intense. The pacing is great. Brian De Palma has a beautiful visual eye with this scene. It's intense. You're on the edge of your seat, and you're just seeing these kids be just viciously destroyed by Carrie. The teacher who was always kind to her, she kills her. She kills another teacher who pretty much made fun of her. And in a class, he gets electrocuted, which is what starts the fire. So yeah, the prom night, the prom scene is the best scene of the movie. And of course, when Carrie's leaving the prom, Chris and Billy, they get theirs when the car flips over and explodes. You know, Carrie goes home. She has the final confrontation with her mother. And to me, and like I said, this is where Piper Laurie's acting is completely ham sandwiched, because she gets stabbed with a bunch of knives, and then she starts orgasming as if she just had the best sex of her life. It's completely jarring and off-putting, her acting in this particular scene. I'm not gonna lie, I don't like it at all. Like I said, it's just very hammy. It's just very just very. The movie, it just feels so out of place. I just know it just doesn't agree. I don't agree with it. And of course, we have the famous scene when Sue walks to the rubble of Carrie's house, and the hand pops out of the grave and grabs Sue, and she wakes up screaming hysterical. And that's basically how the movie ends. So yeah, pretty much that's just Carrie in a nutshell. And overall, despite my complaints with some of the acting and Piper Laurie's lopsided performance, this is still a really, really good movie. From a production standpoint, this movie looks great. Brian Palmer's direction is on point. Cinematography looks beautiful. This movie, even though it is dated, the message is still relevant. You know, just don't be a bully. Don't be a sadistic bully, because the person you're bullying, they're gonna fight back, and you're gonna pay the price for it, for your actions. And that's what Carrie is. Carrie is a cautionary tale of what happens when bullying goes way too far. So, yeah, overall, those are my thoughts on Carrie. I still like this movie, and for a first adaptation of a King novel, I think it's a job well done, and I give it a solid 8 out of 10. The hammy acting from Piper Laurie and the flat performances from some of the supporting cast members bring the grade down, but beautiful visuals. Sissy Spacek is a perfect lead, and it has a thrilling climax that's still iconic and memorable. So yes, 8 out of 10 for the original Carrie. Anyway, those are my thoughts on Carrie. Let me know yours in the comment sections down below. Do you like it? Do you hate it? I would like to know. Like the video and subscribe, and I will check you back next time for more.